Hey everybody, welcome to Enhance Don't Distract. I'm your host, Justin Edmonds. Here's my co-host, Jordan. And thank you so much for joining us today, episode number 52. We are talking about things to consider to support your PA. This is kind of a second part, I guess, if you want to count, from last week's episode about best practices, things when you're designing a PA. But before we get started, let's start off with prayer. Jordan, you want to lead us in prayer?
Yeah. Heavenly Father, just thank you for today. Thank you for, just your gifting that you've given us, the abilities, our appointments at our churches and our communities, and, just the ways that we get to use your gifts, or our gifts that you've given us for your kingdom. Just pray that we steward them well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, man. What do we got?
Yeah. Kind of talking about things that kind of are factors in your PA and your sound experience, but are not hardcore like speaker boxes and amps and stuff. So,
peripherals.
Peripherals. There you go. That's a good word. Yeah. Not the main thing, but they play an important part. So, not like Apple mice or anything like that.
Was that a poke at Anthony?
I just think, look, I don't love the mouse either, although I am using the one right now.
So am I.
So I'm, But I do.
Sean has one on his desk too.
Yeah. But
Anthony, if you're watching, post in the comments that you're watching.
Yeah. And what mouse you're working with. But it is. I like Logitech stuff. I like their MX keyboard.
Yeah.
I like making sure that things are working well. And now we're gonna go get the MX keyboard that Justin's got.
No. This is a $20 Amazon special, and it has been fantastic.
Okay.
I'm using it for drawings and stuff like that. That's why I've got the nice little trackball.
Yep. But no, we're not talking about the computer here.
Nope.
But we're talking about the peripherals, the surrounding things that do go into the experience of your sound at your church. We've talked about tuning and gain staging. That's definitely a factor that goes into it. Certainly tuning does. How you're tuning it, who's tuning it.
And I had that in there because you can kind of tune your PA to fit you, right? And that's where it's making sure that you're doing that in a way that fits you, right? A lot of people have someone else come in and tune the PA for them. And they think that they don't have the capability of telling them to do something different. And that's not the case, right? If, I feel like it's really harsh, I'm going to tell the guy that's tuning my system, hey, it's kind of harsh. Can we balance that out a little bit different?
And really quick, don't let them leave and then just undo their settings.
Right.
Tell them. Them. Yeah. Don't wait for them to leave.
Yeah, there's a reason why you paid them.
Yep.
Right.
And they're you probably be surprised. They're more open to feedback than you realize.
And
honestly, they probably would like direction.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because they want to leave you happy. 9 times out of 10, someone is trying to leave you happy, right?
Right.
So, and then gain staging it goes into that as well, right? So it's communicating with them. Hey, can we make sure that this gain stages through my console? Because nowadays, with all the computers and all the DSPs that are all network based, you don't have to actually do anything inside of your soundboard when you're tuning and setting your gain structure, right? And that's a problem that I've had with some manufacturers is they'll come in, they'll dump into the DSP, and they're going bloop, doing their calibrations. And it's but that's way too loud. I have to gain way back in order to, now my broadcast console can't hear anything and they're having to trim way up. And so that's why tuning and gain staging is super important.
Yep.
The support.
What would you say maybe is number 2?
I think that number 2 and number 3 in my head, kind of go hand in hand. That you can make 2 number 3 and 3 number 2. So we'll just go with how we kind of have it here. I'm actually going to move this around just for. I know that you're super.
It's all good. We have a little rundown of these things, and
This is-
Justin's now adjusting.
This is just
Oh, we're making that number 3 now. Okay, I got you.
yeah. So like I said, number 2, number 3 can be flip flopped.
Yep.
Mic quality, the quality of mic, and that goes as well for DI boxes as well.
Yes.
So
Yep.
anything that's taking in signal, like the quality of those boxes,
Yep.
or microphones, or dongles, or whatever it may
Equipment.
be.
Yeah.
That is the next biggest thing, right? You
Yep.
can only make a PA sound as good as the content that goes inside of it, right?
Yep.
And yes, I'm sorry, but your Radio Shack microphone from 1987 needs to be thrown in the trash.
If you if you have a Radio Shack microphone, you need to mail it to us. Because that's incredible that you're still using it from. I mean, like what? Like, I mean, that's like 90 there.
Yeah,
So-
I mean that's obviously like
For you, those of you that don't know what Radio Shack is, it was an electronics store that is no longer around.
well, it kind of is, but whatever. I
Like
have
in
just
Pennsylvania somewhere, right?
I have just come into so many churches because churches don't throw anything away, right? We've talked about the
Electronics
graveyard,
for
right?
Amish.
And when you have a church that's been around since 1952, right? They're going to have microphones from 7 decades.
Oh yeah, like all silver SM58s and stuff. Oh yeah,
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? You have a lot of inexpensive equipment. That sounds good, right? An SM58 does not sound bad.
no, and is not expensive.
No.
So, and sometimes you do need to refresh them because dropping them and hitting them on top of your snare will damage them. Yeah, I again, not to go negative here, but like, it's garbage in, garbage out. Like,
Yeah.
you want to have good equipment. I see so many times people spending like just so much money on their PA or their board or things, that yes, make a big difference, but then like, yeah, Radio Shack mics or like just cheapo mics or not even honestly
sure.
a selection of mics.
And
And
the caveat to this, like we talked in our last video, that there's always a caveat to everything.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What is not good for some is good for others because of like the level, right?
Yeah.
If you buy $1 million worth of PA and you're putting an X32 in front of it,
Yep.
right? That's not
that
a
is
thing.
part of that is a lower point in the signal signal chain.
Right, but if you have a $20,000 PA, because that's totally
Yeah.
possible in some of these
Oh, yeah,
churches.
absolutely.
Having
Yeah.
an X32 is amazing.
Right.
Right, and that's
And
not to dog on the X32. I'm
No.
just saying that what may be bad for this guy isn't bad for you.
Yeah.
Right now, there are some consoles that are bad for everyone, right? Because they're 17 years old, broken faders. Some of them are
Analog.
like, wow, the preamps sound like brittle paper that you breathe on them and they're going to break in half and not work anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's those things, but yeah, lots
I'm
of.
joking about the analog too, by the way. You can run an analog board.
No, you can't. It is 2024. Get rid of that analog console.
Yeah. But think about that. Yeah, if you've got like cheapo DIs and stuff like that, like maybe put some of the money into those things.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we spent all of our money on the sound system, so we didn't get wireless mics, but we need 17 wireless mics for all of our ensemble singers. Let's go and get Amazon Special where we spent $400 on 17 mics. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Especially wireless mics.
Especially.
I honestly say, like, I do not buy wireless mics if you have to cheap out on them. Like, you need to spend serious money on wireless mics.
Hey, say it again for those in the back.
Yeah. You need to spend money on good quality wireless mics. Please.
Who should get
wireless
the
mic?
Who should get the best wireless mic?
Yeah, it's the pastor, the one that talks the longest.
Yep.
And get a good headset mic.
If all else fails, your senior pastor who speaks 9 times out of 10 for 30 to 45 minutes
alone on stage.
Should have the best wireless mic in the building and the best microphone that goes into that body pack.
Yep. Totally
Hands
agree.
down.
Totally agree.
Number 2.
And I get, and you know what too? They'll probably sign the check for that. They'll probably sign the check for that. And I get, and you know what too? They'll probably sign the check for that. And you know what too? They'll probably sign the check for that. And you know what too? They'll probably sign the check for that.
Most
with
of the
little
time.
resistance.
Number
Just saying.
2 is a worship leader who is leading worship 9 times out of 10 for 30 to 45 minutes as well. They're the number 2. Everyone else, I don't really care. Put them on a wired mic. Again, SM58s are about $100-ish. SEV7s about $100. Sennheiser
We need to do a podcast on wireless
E835s.
we have we not done a podcast on wireless mics? We need to talk about this.
No, we really should talk about like best cheap microphones too. I have one of 6 of them. So
Okay.
I literally have 6 of them sitting on my shelf.
Okay.
So
And they're out there. Some of them are okay, this is actually not horrible.
yeah.
But there's a lot of okay, this is horrible out there.
Oh yeah. We'll do
All
that.
right, let's keep going. We're trying to
Number 3, right?
yeah,
2 and 3
which could
are
be number 2,
interchangeable.
but it's number 3 today.
Yep. Acoustic treatment.
Okay.
The reason why I personally put this as number 3 is not because I think it's pointless. I think that there's a lot of spaces that need it. I think almost every space needs this. But what I will say is, I think we talked about this in an earlier podcast. I had a client that said that they needed $100,000+ worth of acoustic treatment.
Yes.
We were able to replace the PA and bring it to a manageable level for them where they were happy with it. Would you
without any treatment?
Without any treatment. Would that sound system sound that much better with that treatment? Yes.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that capability. I've gone in spaces where they have that PA that's been replaced already, and it's aimed and tuned and functioning exactly how it's supposed to, but the room still needs to be treated.
Yep.
More often than not,
Yeah.
you need treatment. And usually my assessment of doing PA before doing treatment is not because I'm trying to not do treatment, but I'm trying to not do $100,000 worth of treatment. So instead of 100 panels, maybe I only need to do 40 panels, right? I'm trying to keep the cost of treatment down, because treatment get really expensive really quick, and it's really labor intensive when you're doing it correctly. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I mean is it a necessary evil?
I don't think it's a necessary evil. I think a lot of people that are not in the AV space that tend to, for some reason, have say in in treatment don't like it because it looks ugly, because it's just a bunch of squares, right?
Yeah,
and I think there's a reason why I carry a certain brand is because I think they look really nice. They look really modern, and they print on them. So it's when you're going into a lobby, hey, print some designs. Right,
Yeah.
so people think it's just pictures, but it's actually treatment, right? It's actually doing something. So that's my opinion. So,
No,
all right, what's number 4?
Yeah. Number 4, I think just factoring in your soundboard. Is it volunteer friendly? Who is mixing? Does it have the channel count you need? Is there room for expansion? This is kind of on the border. This is a major component in your sound system, but. I've seen people where it's oh, we got this really killer board, and it's but only staff members can run it, and it's so complex. Or
I've walked into places where they're 100% volunteer driven, and I'm why do you have a Digico in here? This is a tool for a professional, not a novice.
Yeah, and again, can you do it? Yes, some churches do it, but it's just a steep learning curve for some of those consoles, and or getting a better one, but then a less channel count, and it's there's not a long-term play here.
We should also do a podcast about choosing the right soundboard.
Yep,
and what that looks like,
folks. We've realized actually there are in more than enough topics. The limit for us doing podcasts is the time we could do podcasts.
Yeah, literally.
So yeah.
Yeah,
so if you want to hear something, comment down below. What do you want to hear a show about? So
yes, please do. I will say this: I said earlier that I wasn't going to dog in the X32, but I will dog on it a little bit here, right? Because it's 12 years old at this point, right?
Yeah.
And so it can only sound so good, right? And so that's the thing, is that's why it's on this list. I know I made the comment earlier about $1 million sound system with an X32. I've actually seen $200,000 sound systems that have an X32 in front of it, and I'm Why? Why did we not replace that too? Right?
Yeah.
Because now that's your limitation.
Yeah. I mean, think about that too. You're spending that's 1%. You're spending 1% of your budget on the console.
Yeah.
You might want to up that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's some of these things. Yeah, and again, another podcast topic, but yeah, I think choosing your soundboard correctly, quality processing, right? And when I say that, so like let's take this, right? Your X32, when you are mixing 24 channels that all have compressors, all have there's a bunch of gates on drums, right? You've got some effects running for vocals. When you're running that much on that console, you can actually physically hear the quality of that soundboard go down.
Yep.
Right? Because the processor can only handle so much, just like on your computer, because that's what it is. It's a computer, right?
Yep.
So imagine you're rendering a video, and you're trying to bounce some audio, and you're trying to watch two 4K videos, and right. Your computer can only handle so much.
That render slows down and
right.
Yep.
So then what do? If you need to do all those things and not have it slow down, right, or be able to just do all those things at a good pace, you buy a bigger, better, stronger computer, right?
Yeah.
So that's where coming into like an Avantis or an SQ or D-Live from the Allen Heath lines, right? Or some of the smaller Digico consoles, or some of the Yamaha stuff like the T series and those kind of things, right? All of those consoles have bigger, stronger processors, so that you can do those things without having the degraded audio like quality, right? Coming in and coming out, right? Imagine you have a bunch of DPA microphones going into an X32 that's degraded audio that's being spit out into a really nice, expensive acoustic system. What do you think the quality break is in that chain?
Yep.
Most likely the X32.
It's the weakest link maybe not weakest link, but like lowest link. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think weakest link, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In that scenario, right?
Let's keep moving.
Okay.
Number 5, you and I think we're on the same page on this.
Yeah.
We harp on this a lot. This should probably actually be number 1. In fact, maybe we just we intentionally saved the best for last.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are lists I feel like are like they're so interchangeable. It's hard to sit here and say one is better than the other one, right?
But like for the ROI and the importance and honestly, just ROI. Like for tech training and knowledge, you're going to get so much of a better sound experience, in my opinion. Training, pouring into your volunteers, getting training yourself, going to a seminar, having your integrator come in and show you some things, watching enhanced podcast on a regular basis. Just seeking out knowledge.
Reaching out to Jordan at enhanceavl.com for more information. We'll get you so much further down your path.
Okay, what even? Yeah.
Well, sorry, shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah, I hope you move along. But think about your volunteer who's working a 40, got a family, and they're just kind of showing up and maybe pushing faders, but get them some training, get them some pizza on a weeknight. And
that could be so many different things, right? That could be going to the neighboring church who is bigger than you that has a staff member coming over and going over fundamentals, right?
Yep.
That could be buying a Mix-U subscription or sound training. That could be going to Philo. That could be you going to Seeds Conference or SALT Conference or, insert conference name, right? That could be you just getting online and getting on YouTube and typing in, how do I EQ a 22-inch Pearl kick drum, right?
Right.
Like, that could be so many things that it's endless practically.
Yeah. I would also add on here, and again, we haven't, we could spend so much time on this again, but I also would kind of put under this unlearning bad habits.
Oh yeah.
Of hey, maybe don't let your pastor mic himself up in the green room or in the front row, like let's put an eye on that countryman and just see, or the DPA, and see where that mic is.
I mean, I let my pastor mic himself up, but in front of me so that I can adjust it once it's on him.
Right, exactly.
Right. Don't hand him the pack and the headset and say, "Have fun." Right.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Or leave the pack turned off on the front row, and then assume that he's going to turn it on, and assume that he's going to get it on right, and or even like proper mic placement or handling for your musicians or your vocalists.
Oh my gosh, how many times have you had someone like hold it by the antenna and then it starts dropping out, and they're like, "Why is it dropping out?"
Yep. Or cupping it and you're just not getting the full range.
Yeah, why does my mic not sound good when I do this?
Right. And those are just habits. Like it's kind of like not having the discipline. Like we've just let it slide and just let it happen.
Yeah.
But again, just think, like, being intentional about it and being like, no, we are gonna listen to every single video before service.
And I will tell you this: the choosing of some of these other options that we've talked about on here, choosing the right ones could prevent you or supply you with the capability of sending someone to training. Yep. I've had clients that, hey, we want to buy a Digico SD9 because it's what we were told by one of our sister churches. And it's like, well, okay, that's not wrong.
Nope, it's not wrong.
But that's not what you need, right? I would rather you spend the money on like an Avantis that's $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 cheaper, depending on the system setup, right? And take that $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 that you were willing to spend and invest that in maybe sending or buying one of these things, or having someone come in and do a training, so on and so forth, right? And invest in people, right? People are our greatest asset, right?
And that's why I kind of say, like, this could be the number one. And to, you mentioned earlier, like, if you have a bigger church in the area and there is a staff member, like, honestly, there is a high chance they'd be willing to help, and they're maybe even wanting to help.
Even if they don't have the 100% the same beliefs as you, right? I've seen that a lot of times where they're like, oh, well, they're a different denomination. Most of the time, people at that level don't really care, right?
That might be another podcast, but yeah.
No, I'm just saying in this scenario, right? Most of the time, if you were coming from denomination A going to denomination B, right?
Yeah.
Now, most denominations in the Christian sect, right, aren't that big of variances. Some of them are, right? And there might be some issues, right? I'm not saying that there's going to be zero issue, but most of the time there won't be, right?
I thought you meant the tech doesn't care about their denominations.
No. I'm saying is that, like, if you're denomination A and the bigger church is denomination B, that tech isn't going to care that you're denomination A, right? He just, he or she just come in and you can shadow me. Most places will be cool with that, right? I know, like, big churches that are okay with that, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah, man, and I think that all of these, like, again, could be kind of replaceable, with each other, one or another, right? These are just
interchangeable, yeah.
Yeah, these are things that are just important. And I felt like we needed to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they're you and I've been down this road before. You're looking at the big rocks in your budget, and then you forget about the small rockets. You forget rocks. You forget about the infrastructure. You forget about the distributed audio. Hopefully wireless mics are a bigger component, but you forget about mic selection. Be like, oh, that's right. We actually have to buy mics when we're launching our church.
Yeah. I think money plays such a massive role in these decisions that
absolutely
it can be a hindrance to think about the money. And when I say that, I had a client that came to me and said, hey, we need a PA design. I can't do acoustics. I can't afford it. They ended up with an acoustics PA because it was actually in their budget to do what they needed to do. And so that's what I say is, like, we let money be a hindrance when it's like, you don't even know most of the time. Like, sometimes I don't even know. Like, I have to run numbers a couple different ways and then go, oh, yeah, I was actually able to afford in the budget I was given to do a lot more than I thought because of how I ran it. And so I've been telling people that when we meet with them, let's not talk about money, right? Let's talk about what is important to us, right? And then money is a conversation that gets had, obviously, because it has to. So it's just one of those things like, let's just not talk about money at first, right? That's not the first conversation. Let's talk about importances, right? And what's important is what kind of quality is going to go through this, the word of God being spoken and being heard and being legible is important, right? So we need to make sure we get this done correctly, right? So, yeah. I think that's a whole other podcast as well that we can talk about, like, what does that conversation need to look like?
Yep.
So.
And that's so good, too. If you're on staff at a volunteer or paid position, leading tech conversations that way, that is, I think, a very healthy way to dialogue about things instead of just jumping into, why does this cost so much? Why does this do so much? Get your leadership on board with vision, priorities, theirs and yours, and have that conversation, and then the money will figure itself out.
Yeah, a lot of times.
You might even get a bigger budget, honestly, too.
Yeah, I think that there's so many ways that you could come to leadership and say, hey, here's the vision, right? This is what we need. And when I say this is what we need, that doesn't necessarily mean you're saying, oh, I need a Acoustics A15 sound system, right? That's not what you're doing. You're going to them saying, here's the vision. I think our sound system sounds really bad, right? We have constant problems, right? We have seven of the 12 faders don't function correctly. 2 of our wireless mics constantly drop out no matter what we've done, right? So there's all these problems that we have. It's 25 years old. We need a sound system that's going to do A, B, C, and D, right?
Yep.
Set the parameters, right? And the patcher will usually go, yeah, we do need a PA that does A, B, C, and D, right? What is that going to cost? I'm not sure, but I need to land the plan on what we need so that we can get a number, right? And if you work with a good integrator, if your church can hold 100 people, they're not going to come in and tell you need $200,000 worth of sound system, right?
Nope.
They're going to come in and tell you probably need $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, depending on,
Well, and and they're probably going to ask you, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
What are the priorities here?
A good one will.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the jump off point. So then you've already done all the exercises internally.
Yeah.
And now when you start talking to an integrator, somebody who is potentially a vendor, you can be like, hey, this is where we're already at. We're already established. We're already locked in on what we want to do, where we're going. Help us get there.
Yeah. Yeah, and if your peripherals aren't very good and your integrator never mentions a peripheral to you, not a great sign.
Yeah. Maybe you don't sign the contract just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of these can be like gaps in the system, and it's like, okay, wait, but what about this? Like, if you don't have mics, you like,
yeah, no,
great,
if you've already got
money on your PA,
some great Shure Sennheiser wireless mics, they don't need to be replaced, and your integrator does a walkthrough with you, sees them, doesn't mention it, right? You can ask that question. Hey, why didn't you mention anything about microphones? Oh, well, I saw you had ULXD or QLXD or EW400s or EWDXs. And I figured you didn't need them. We just use those, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. That's why you didn't mention it, right? Those kind of things, they're good for us. So,
absolutely.
You got anything else?
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
I think so too.
I think we ended on a really good note there of,
yeah,
how to dialogue with people on that. So
I really do think we need to do like how do we budget? How do we go about? How do we interact? And go through that. So, guys, be prepared for that. We'll do that. Maybe that'll be one of our next podcasts that we do.
Maybe we can get like Dave Ramsey on here and do that.
Oh yeah, if you got connections. Uh-oh, I winked at you again.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. It's
that means it's
becoming
going to happen. No, we will. I mean, if you want to, Dave, you can definitely come on here.
Dave Ramsey, if you're watching this podcast.
Yeah.
Why? First of all, I feel like you've got a lot more important things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you.
This is important. I mean, it's not his realm, so.
That's why I'm saying, why are you watching this podcast?
Yeah. I'm trying to think though. It's like, what's the debt snowball of tech and ancillary peripheral things? So
get rid of the graveyard. That's the debt snowball.
Get your house in order.
That's Make your bed.
Yeah.
For all you Jordan Peterson listeners.
Make your bed. Yep. Have a clean bedroom. Clean mind.
Good times.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. If you're listening on audio, thank you so much. If you're watching, you can listen on audio when you're driving if you want, or mowing the lawn. You know, there's so many like things you do that you could be listening to us on audio. So make sure you pick us up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those things. You can do that. If you would like to reach out to Jordan or I would suggest you reach out to Jordan. Jordan at enhanceavl.com. That's his email. He would be more than excited to help you design a system, walk through things, get some training.
Wherever you are in the nation, wherever you're at,
whatever that may be.
Size-wise, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Reach out.
We're here for you. So thank you guys so much. Again, smash the subscribe button. Comment down below. What are your peripherals that you have? Is there a specific microphone you like or DI box you love? Did you find something that was inexpensive that is awesome? Sometimes those do exist. So they are unicorns.
We should do that one. We definitely should do that one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, keep on enhancing. I'm Justin.
I'm Jordan. Thank you.
Peace. Wink.